This is a T&P valve, and it's most commonly found on your hot water heater. Hot water heater? You don't heat hot water. You mean your water heater. Two reasons this valve may leak: excessive temperature or excessive pressure. But there are a few more reasons you may find this valve leaking, and we're going to talk about that in this video coming up. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. Hey, welcome folks. Bob here from Bob'sPlumbingVideos.com. On this channel, I provide free plumbing tutorials for people who don't want to call a plumber. No scientific data, no fancy chemical breakdown of the materials I use in these videos, just common sense solutions to everyday plumbing problems. After all, folks, you shouldn't have to take out a mortgage to be able to afford a plumber. If you're new to the channel, I highly recommend you subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit that bell notification so you'll be notified of when I post a new video. Now, let's get into this video. Oops, I almost forgot. Get lost. All right, so here's my attempt at a little artwork. Now we're looking at a residential gas water heater. It could easily be electric, not a problem. So on the right, we're looking at the main house valve. This would be the valve after the water comes in from the city water supply. And to the left of that is what looks like a bomb, but it's not. It's my attempt at a pressure reducing valve. So let's just skip over that for a minute. I'm gonna come back to it. Then we go on up, and we're gonna pass the expansion tank at the moment, and we're looking at the water heater supply valve, which brings the water to the bottom of the water heater. As the water heater heats up after the flame comes on, or there's a call for hot water, the water expands naturally. Now, going out the other end to the hot water fixtures, it goes to the sinks, the showers, the faucets, the tubs, etc. And if nobody's using anything, that water as it heats up has to expand. And in our case here in New York, it expands simply back into the city water supply. I mean, we're not talking about a tremendous amount of expansion, but water, as it gets heated, will move. It'll expand and it moves. And in our case, it expands into the city water supply. Now, we have incoming water pressures here of anywhere in the low 40s to I've seen them as high as 80, which are deemed, pretty safe water pressures. So there's no need for us to have pressure reducing valves. But to our California friends, I know in California that they have very high incoming water pressures, and they are required to have pressure reducing valves. And simply what a pressure reducing valve does is reduce the pressure on the outlet side to a safe pressure. I don't know what that pressure is in California. So let's just say they set it anywhere between 40 and 80 as an example. I don't know for sure. But after that pressure valve reduces the pressure and shuts off, you now have what is known as a closed system. So for a second, imagine we don't have that expansion tank there, and this water heater comes on. It starts to heat the water. Now the water starts to expand. Nobody's using any of the fixtures on the hot water end. So as that water starts to heat up and expand, it starts backing into the cold water supply. And once it hits that pressure reducing valve, there's no place for it to go. What's going to happen is the T&P valve is going to relieve. So to circumvent that, you put an expansion tank on the cold water supply going into the water heater. And in that expansion tank is half air and half water, separated by generally a rubber bladder of some sort. And with the expansion tank on there, as the water expands, it'll push up against that air pocket. And then as the water cools down, it'll relax, and you'll have this back and forth motion. So as the water heats, it's kind of like a balloon. It'll expand, it'll contract, it'll expand, it contract, and that will take up the expansion. These tanks have to be properly sized for the water heater, the size of the water heater you have. And with that, there's no dribbling out of the T&P valve. Now, sometimes these tanks will fail. Sometimes these tanks, the bladder will get a hole in them. These tanks will fill up with water. And once they fill up with water, again, in a closed system, the water has nowhere to go. So the T&P valve will relieve, which it's supposed to do. It's doing its job. So these valves in general are set at an operating pressure of 150 psi, and a temperature not to exceed 210 degrees. So in a closed system where you have a pressure reducing valve, you need an expansion tank to take up the expansion. If you're in an area of the country where you don't have pressure reducing valves on the incoming water mains, there really is no need for the expansion tank. I've seen them in New York very rarely, and I really don't know why they're on there, but nevertheless, I've seen them. So another reason that T&P valve may drip is they're spring loaded. They have a washer in them. They have a little seat in them, as in a faucet. Sometimes if they start to relieve and there's some dirt trying to get out of there and the dirt gets caught between the washer and the seat, it'll continue to dribble. I'm not talking about just all out relieve. It'll just dribble on the floor and you can't get it to stop. And I mean, some manufacturers say that once a relief valve has relieved itself, it's time to change it. It's very hard to get it to stop. You can flip that little silver lever on the end of it in an attempt to wash the dirt out of there. But in a lot of cases, I've actually gone in and just changed the valve. The other thing I want to bring up here is the drip tube that you see going down toward the floor. Those drip tubes have to be on there, or they should be on there. In New York, I leave mine about 18 inches above the floor. You don't want that T&P valve to relieve if somebody's standing next to the water heater and this thing happens to blow off, because they're going to get scalded. So you can pipe those to a floor drain, or you can pipe them down to the ground. And code here says that that piece that's facing the ground, it can't be threaded. They don't want anybody screwing anything on it there, such as a cap. That's another thing we're going to go over here. I've seen once in my career, I was called in. I was told that the relief valve is leaking, and lo and behold, when I got to the job, somebody plugged the relief valve, and I said to the people, who did this? And while the water was leaking all over the floor, I said, do you realize that by plugging this, you're creating basically a missile in your house now? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to link to the description below this video, a video on YouTube of somebody who did just that. They plugged the relief valve and they ran a water heater. They dug a hole, put it in a ditch, and they ran it up to, beyond its operating pressure. And I want you to watch that video and see what plugging a relief valve can do. Don't do it, folks. Do not do it. All right, now let's jump down on the bench, and I'm going to show you the inside of this valve, the spring-loaded part of the valve, and where some dirt could be potentially sitting on the seat, keeping this thing from completely closing. So I'll meet you on the bench. All right, here we go. Typical T&P valve. To the left, you'll see the threads. This is generally where it's threaded into the water heater. You'll see the arrows on there denoting the direction of the flow. It goes toward the right, and then it goes out the outlet. And these are usually piped down via a drip tube anywhere between 12 and 18 inches above the floor. Plain end, no threads. Nobody wants any caps or no plugs on it. We'll turn this around. I'll show you what the manufacturer on this particular valve. This is a Watts valve. And we'll look at the ratings here. It's set for 150 psi at a maximum temperature of 210 degrees. And it has a maximum BTU per hour input for the appliances that it's being connected to. So in this case, the appliance shouldn't exceed 105,000 BTUs, which in most residential water heaters, we're not even close to that number. So this is a valve which would be quite safe to use on a residential water heater. And here's that little spring-loaded lever we were talking about. And let me just turn this over for a minute here. I don't know if you can see inside, but you can see that spring in there. And that spring is pushing up against basically like similar to a faucet stem. There's a washer, and I don't know if you can see me pull this lever. As I pull this lever, it's pulling up on that brass, what appears to be like a faucet stem, and in there is a washer. And the washer sits up against the seat. And sometimes when these things relieve, they will get dirt onto them and all sorts of garbage. And sometimes in an attempt to clear the dirt out, you'll flip this thing and try to flip it and flip it and flip it in an attempt to clean the dirt out. But more often than not, once something gets stuck on there, it's very hard to get off. And the manufacturers will generally tell you if these valves do relieve, it's good practice to change them. So there you go, folks. This is the typical T&P valve. These are a couple of more reasons, or I just showed you some reasons why they may relieve other than excessive temperature or excessive pressure. I hope you found this video helpful. And yeah, again, do not plug these. Please, please, please. I walked in on a job. The lady had this thing plugged because they were being annoyed by the water that was dribbling on the floor. And I kind of explained to her that this is a no-no. And by doing that, you basically created a bomb in your house. So that's it. Yep. T&P valves. Not mysterious and relatively safe if you know what you're doing. Hey, so there you go, guys. Now you know of a couple of more reasons why that T&P valve may leak. If you guys are interested in knowing a little bit more about water heater maintenance and how you can extend the life of your residential gas or electric hot water heater, please check out my water heater maintenance video. I'll leave a link in the cards up above and also in the description box below this video. Also, don't forget to check out one of these two videos that are going to pop up here to my right. One of them I chose for you, and one of them YouTube said my viewers might like to see. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. As always, look forward to seeing you in the next video, and happy plumbing.